most car lifts are an afterthought. Atlas Elite Lifts designs architecturally refined car lift systems for luxury homes, high-end condominiums, premium dealerships, and commercial spaces. No bulky industrial equipment, no compromise on design, just seamless integration and precision engineering. So beautiful, it's Batcave ready. You truly have to see an Atlas to believe it. Visit www.atlaselitelifts.com today.
People don't change unless they hit a pain point that's just too hard to go forward. So that's when I decided, I was like, things had changed for me. That was eventually, I did get separated and get divorced. And I went down, after that, I went down a pretty ugly road of how I felt about myself. Until one day too, I was just like, wow, I made this really big life change. And then I've sat with, for what? If I'm going to be miserable and unhappy.
The great Mark Cuban once said, business happens over years and years. Value is measured in the total upside of a business relationship, not by how much you squeezed out in any one deal. And we couldn't agree more. This is the Business Development Podcast, based in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and broadcasting to the world. You'll get expert business development advice, tips and experiences, and you'll hear interviews with business owners, CEOs, and business development reps. You'll get actionable advice on how to grow business. Brought to you by Capital Business Development, capitalbd.ca. Let's do it. Welcome to the Business Development Podcast. And now your expert host, Kelly Kennedy.
Hello, welcome to episode 325 of the Business Development Podcast. And today it is my absolute pleasure to welcome to our stage Jodi Barrett. Jodi is the founder of KB Stronger and the creator of the Kettlebell Strength Method, a training philosophy built around developing real strength, nervous system capacity, and sustainable movement. After spending more than a decade as a stay-at-home mom, Jodi made a bold decision at 41 to completely reinvent her life. She purchased the rights to a kettlebell certification brand from the United States, and she expanded it across Canada, certifying trainers and helping people rethink how strength and fitness can fit into everyday life. Her journey took her from launching a studio in the middle of a global pandemic to ultimately rebuilding her business into a fully online brand focused on movement, mindset, and intentional living. Today, Jodi works with coaches and clients across the country through certifications, online training, and a growing community built around strength from the inside out. But her story isn't just about kettlebells or fitness. It's about courage, reinvention, and the moment when someone decides to bet on themselves. Because sometimes the biggest transformation in life doesn't start in a gym. It starts the moment you choose to live your life with intention. Jodi, it's a pleasure to have you on the show today. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, that was such an introduction. Wow.
Well, you deserve it. You're doing some stuff. No, I'm really excited for this conversation today. You know, I really enjoyed meeting you. And I think from our first introduction, I realized we haven't had a lot of health experts on this show. It just has not been something that has really come across my path all that much, which is funny because, you know, even over the last couple of weeks, I'm 3 weeks into my own, I'm going to get my ass up in the morning and start training program. Because if I have to look at the thing as a busy entrepreneur that I have been putting off, and I know I'm not alone in this, it is my own physical health.
Hey, yeah, we'll talk about that.
So yeah, it's been challenging, and heck, you know, so I'm right in the middle of the thick of the start. So I feel like we're gonna have a great conversation today.
I can't wait. I can't wait to hear about
this. Before we get into that, Jodi, take us back, but long before KB Stronger. Who is Jodi Barrett? How did you end up on this path? Take me back to being a kid. Did you always see yourself as an entrepreneur?
My parents were farmers. I grew up in entrepreneurial life. Like you went through the 80s where it was the drought and then the BSE came, and my dad had a background in, he was a butcher by trade. So they flipped and they pulled in a meat shop and they butchered during that time. And my dad, he always says to me, "Why couldn't you just get a Monday to Friday job?" I was like, "Well, I don't know. I guess I was watched you my entire life." I'm like, "At least I'm not depending on the rain. I don't know."
Yeah.
So that was how I grew up. You had to I got taught grit from pretty much day one, and how you show up again and again, no matter, the day's good or bad, you're still there. So I think that probably had a pretty big part of it. And, just I learned so much being in that environment. And when I was 15, we could have had the same conversation. I probably would have had a much different outlook on what that was. And it was hard. It was like,
Yeah.
I was thinking, my dad was kind of mean. And now when you sit back and you go, my parents instilled really good values and morals in me. So that coming out and growing up in a small community, right? Like, I learned at a young age how important a community was.
Yeah.
And it takes a village to raise children or a business or all of those things. Like, you can put it into everything.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I don't think I've ever heard it takes a village to raise business, but that's totally true.
It is, right?
That is totally, totally true. I absolutely love it. Okay, so you spent your childhood growing up on a farm. What happened after that?
I went off to university and I had big plans. I was going to go to university and I was going to get this brilliant job and career. And then I was going to think about having a family, and everything happened in reverse order. I had the family first. And so that was strategically how I had that planned, and how life always decides to say, not really what's going to happen. So
My crystal ball has been broken the whole way too. It's I always laugh because when I look at my own journey, I went to college running like as fast as I could away from sales jobs, and ended up being in business development deeper than most people in the world. So, but it's hilarious because I think we spend a lot of our life maybe running from things,
mm,
and yet it ends up being the thing that we end up attracting at the end of the day.
yeah.
A fun twist anyway. Okay. So you have a family, you have kids, you're a stay-at-home mom. You were a stay-at-home mom until you were 41?
Till I was 38.
38. Okay. What happened? What happened at that moment?
That moment? Okay, so that moment was I've always tell this story. When I was a kid, I learned at a really young age, probably I didn't learn it, I just did it.
Yeah.
When I was stressed, you're nothing but prairie to run. So what would I do? I'd go for a run, right? And not really connecting why that always felt good, and how I could regulate my own nervous system, and not even having a clue what my nervous system probably was at the time. And I used training from a very young age up until like an adult. Got a degree, got my kinesiology degree, and then I I went to the gym and I couldn't lift a weight because I had burnt myself out.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like you had mentioned earlier, we run away from things, and I was running away with for some decisions in my marriage about how I needed to navigate that. And yeah, so that was the day I was there going to lift again for 2 hours because I was super
Wow.
consistent. And I looked in the mirror and looked at myself, and I always say it's a connect and it was a disconnect, because the woman staring back at me physically was strong, muscular, in shape. And I looked around. I remember looking around the room at something, thinking, well, there has to be something in here I can probably lift up today that I want to lift. And I didn't, and I couldn't, and everything felt heavy. I picked up my gym bag, which even felt heavy, and I walked out the door. And that was probably said goodbye to conventional training
Wow.
in that moment.
Wow. Wow. I see so many of us, especially in the entrepreneurial field, who maybe have, the opposite view of themselves. Mentally, they're feeling very strong, very put together, but physically they're feeling very weak, or they're feeling insecure or unsure about themselves.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you can have both sides of the spectrum, somebody who's incredibly physically fit but feeling mentally exhausted.
Yeah.
And then people who are mentally very good, very strong, maybe at the pinnacle of their careers, who have let their bodies go or are dealing with, sicknesses or burnout or other things, and they're just feeling completely exhausted physically.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because it's the two. And I think key is becoming aware
Yeah.
of that and how to shift out of that. For me, I was terrified because I was like, my only go-to was to lift a weight, or like I would run too, but it was like when you're faced with something that felt so heavy, and then I go, what do I do now?
Yeah.
Because I've tried going back to conventional lifting, and sometimes I'll go down to the gym here and I'll tinker, as I like to call it. But I probably don't think the bell spoke to me in many ways from strength. Everybody, like, the program that I do is like strength, cardio, mobility, but for me it was the ability to ground myself. And I think that when you notice the shift, either whether you're on game, but your health is off, or the vice versa, I think that your capacity to regulate and load your weight or your life weight comes from actually tuning into that.
Yeah. So walk me into the limits we're hitting. What are these limits? Like, whether it is, one or the other, it does kind of feel like what's happening is that there's a threshold, and we're struggling to, or it's either being lowered or it's being raised, right? Like,
Yeah.
what happened in that moment? You're physically strong. There's no reason that you can't lift these weights. What was happening?
Yeah. So like my nervous system would have said, we're done. You're done here. Like, we've shut down your body to, not that I couldn't lift, like I still had muscles on my body,
Yeah.
but mentally it was like, you need to pay attention to some other things and work on those before you can do it. Like, because I had the studio, I got so in tune with clients that would come in. They would walk in, they'd do their normal greet. Nothing was different. They would keep things pretty level. The minute I saw them lift a weight, I could tell the day they're having.
Yeah.
Because you lift different. It's kind of like if you do lift weights, there's days, I would say be aware, because there's days when you pick up a weight that some days and it's a regular weight, it feels like it's twice the weight, right?
Yes. Yes.
Or the next day you come in and you're just like, yes, and you feel like just a superhero kind of person.
Yeah.
And I always say, I'm like, that's your body speaking to you. That's your nervous system saying, pay attention. And then you learn to load different.
I love that. I love that. Before I had kids, I used to go to the gym all the time. I was like a bit of a gym rat myself. And then I had kids, and then it was like, okay, well, now we got to deal with this and work and stuff. And
Yeah.
I think I found myself at times feeling guilty going after work, because I used to love going to the gym after work. But then I felt guilty leaving Shelby with all of the responsibility. And
Yeah.
so slowly that kind of trickled into, we
Yeah.
don't do the gym anymore.
Yeah.
Not Shelby's fault. That was my fault. I'm just
No.
going to throw that
Yeah.
out there. But that's just the way that life went. And so for years, I just didn't go. And it was something that I did like most of my life. So I do recognize what you're saying about how the mindset of when you get to the gym determines everything about how you're going to do. And I think we're talking the gym, but let's get real. This is life.
Oh,
Your
yeah.
mindset determines how good you're going to do in everything you tackle,
No.
not just how much weight you lift. And I know every entrepreneur listening, recognizes that strongly. I guess the question that we all have listening to your story is, how do you turn it around? Like, obviously you were in a challenging spot in your life with your relationship. You have a business now. You're running your own studio, it sounded like.
I was running a studio. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're running a studio, you're dealing with some home challenges. What happened? It kind of sounded to me from your story here like you actually hit a breaking point. Quick pause here, and thank you for tuning in and supporting the show. I want to recognize Hyperfab, a Canadian precision fabrication company built by the team behind Hypervac Technologies, supporting projects in both Canada and the United States. They focus on high-quality sheet metal, fast turnaround, and solving complex fabrication challenges when it matters most. Hyperfab is proud to be our title sponsor for 2026. Thanks for listening. Let's get back to the show.
I did. And, that most often, I think people don't change unless they hit a pain point that's just too hard to go forward. So that's when I decided, I was like, things had changed for me. That was eventually, I did get separated and get divorced. And I went down, after that, I went down a pretty ugly road of how I felt about myself until one day too, I was just like, wow, I made this really big life change. And then I've sat with, for what? If I'm going to be miserable and unhappy.
Yeah.
So again, I kind of almost went through kind of two crossroads where I had to make the decision, and then I made it, and I was like, "Oh, this was a lot more challenging than I expected." I knew it was going to be hard, but I don't think you ever really know exactly hard, which I think is a brilliant thing. I don't think you want to know, because then I think you would stay in different situations.
Yes.
So you just work your way through. But then it was that pivot point where I was like, you know what? That's when I always say it was the moment I started to look at life through the eyes of a child again. And literally, it would be like I'd go for a walk and I would see somebody had roses on the side of the road, and I would be like, yeah, I'm going to go smell them.
Yeah.
And just my perspective shifted to, okay, it's like my gratitude. I write gratitude every morning before I get out of bed. I have a notepad. I've probably got 20 journals that I have been writing for like 10 years. And I just write. And when you start to bring in mind, and that's when I started like understanding more of the mindset behind putting the mindset with the movement, the purpose of your movement. And you talk about when you had kids and everything changes. And once I started to realize, I have clients that train with me and they have little kids, and they'd be like, oh, I can't get the 45 minutes in. I haven't trained for a while. And then I say, there are 4-minute program, like 4-minute sessions on there.
Yeah.
But it's people, sometimes we need someone to give us permission to go, it's okay not to, like, I don't have to go full steam.
Yeah.
At an hour. I don't have to do an hour. I can get 30 minutes. I can get 15. I still move my body.
Yeah. 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 I know, like with me, what I recognize about myself is I just have to do it. I'm really good at just doing things. Not to toot my own horn or anything, but I definitely, I'm stubborn with how steadfast I get in things.
Yeah.
This show is like a perfect example. We literally we've never repeated an episode. So we have 323 different episodes, and we've never missed one at all in three and some years at this point. Because I don't want to do that. I don't allow it even as an option. We've literally had like water lines burst in our house. I'm like, okay, I'm going to shut off the water and I'm going to go record my show, and then I will deal with it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
But I feel like that is the level of stubbornness that we have to start to take with our own physical health, because our physical health is directly related to our mental health.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and I think they eventually, I think you can go down that road. But eventually, for me, it was like the opposite. And then eventually people who are the opposite of me, and when they don't, their health eventually says, we're here.
Yeah. I don't want that. That is my biggest fear, Jodi, honestly. Yeah. If I look at and I know there's so many people listening right now who are like, yeah, me too, Kelly. Like, I get this, because if I look back at my entrepreneurship career, I have completely put my health on the sides, Jodi. Like I was building my company last 5 years. I was building this podcast and everything else that I'm working on. Yeah. And it was just like, you know what? I'll deal with it later. But over the last year, I think I've really started to realize that later is coming. Later is coming, and it's coming real quick. And yes. You need to do something different.
Right? Later is now.
And I do come from a family with a history of diabetes, with a history of heart challenges. And it's like, I just don't want that for me. And I look at my boys now too, and I just think well, if they just see their dad eating crappy, working all the time and getting fat, what kind of example does that set for them?
Yeah. And they mimic what they see.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm getting up in the morning, And before my day starts, it's not complex. I'm not like crazy gym guy. I just want to not die sick. so I'm going downstairs. We have an elliptical. We have a weight set up. And I'm doing, at bare minimum, I'm doing 30 minutes of elliptical. And my thought is this: if I can make it a daily routine, you don't have to have a ton. You just have to make sure that it's consistent.
Yes. And I love that. That's beautiful. You just have to show up and move your body.
Yeah.
And we as humans, we love to overcomplicate things, and we make them too hard, too much, and then you just fall off, right?
Yeah.
So I love that. I love that you're doing. That's a great way to do it.
Yeah, if I look at the way that I used to lift when I was a kid, I would go way too hard and then I'd hurt myself. And then I couldn't do anything for, 3 weeks or a month or longer if I hurt my shoulder.
Yeah.
And so I think what I realize, if I look at like the success I've had in business, you never win in business in the one big thing or the 3 big things you do. You win in business from the little things you do all the time.
Yeah.
And I think if you take that same approach to your physical health, you don't need to do this one big thing. You can do these little things consistently. It's got to work.
No, I think so. Just for walking around.
Yeah, my fingers are crossed too. But like I said, my crystal ball is very broken. All right. Enough on that, Jodi. Okay, take me into 2017. Take me into 2017. 9 years ago at this point. The starting.
Wow.
That's crazy, hey? Starting of KB Stronger. What was KB Stronger? What got you into business?
So that's funny because you just give me goosebumps because it was March when I flew to New York.
Wow.
In 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just decided I was training kettlebell.
Yeah.
Probably in 2016 in a guy I went to university with was teaching classes in his garage. We were the garage, crew, right?
Yeah.
We clean, eat, we were all sweaty and go eat, just all hang out in that kind of environment. And then I wanted to get certified. I was doing some Muay Thai classes and I found this person in New York and I was like, I'm going to do this. And I remember I was at Starbucks and I told my mom we were having a coffee and she's like, oh, no, you're not. Because I think everybody was like, wow, she's having the biggest midlife crisis we have ever seen. She's getting on a plane.
Oh my goodness, she might start a company. Can you believe that?
Might start a company. Right?
Rebel.
Right? So, yeah, it was crazy. So I went there, but I went there with the idea and I had messaged the lady of the company and I said, I'm coming to get certified. I'm going to do my level 1 and level 2 at the same if you let me do it. And I said, but I would like to talk to you about you hiring me when I get there. And she's like, well, she goes, I haven't really ever met you yet. And maybe fair enough. My thing back to her was, I haven't met you either. Maybe actually I don't want to work for you. Well, I guess we're on the same page a little bit. But yeah, I always, I went and I was pretty green for traveling even. And I like to travel by myself. It was like sitting on the plane and super nervous. I'm like, going to go fly there, do this. But I just always talk about a knowing I had in the core of me, knowing that one step would lead to another step. And I didn't always have to know what the end really looked like.
Yes.
And it's kind of how I've navigated thus far. And yeah, I went, they hired me. And then we launched the region in Canada it was September. And again, it's not the big moments because I remember the big day coming. I'm like, oh, we're going to tell the world.
And then they're all going to come.
Right? And the world are so long. So I have a kinesiology degree. I said I also have a 9 years experience business degree. Not actual papers, but that. But it was that was kettlebell kickboxing Canada. So that was the first start. That was the brand out of New York City.
Okay.
And that ran for 7 before I rebranded.
Okay. And walk me through COVID. Because obviously this is 2017 when this kind of kicked off, heading into 2018. 2 years later, the whole world blew up. But cool thing happened. People started doing things from home. So like online training opportunities, like you would be surprised how many companies popped up during COVID. I'm actually so proud of people. I think so many people did such amazing things during that, such a hard time.
Yeah.
And instead we're like, you know what? I think I'm just going to go work for myself. But
Right?
I talked to so many people who launched businesses in COVID or had businesses right before it
Yeah.
and have a ton of success. And I just want to shout out to all the COVID founders. I'm one too. Yeah, it's pretty crazy actually how many of us there are out there. Walk me through it. What did COVID do to your business, Jodi?
Yeah. Well, mine was a little crazy. The day I was getting ready to sign papers for the lease, my phone started going off.
Oh no.
And people are like, Jodi, they're closing us down. I'm like, what do you mean they're closing it? Like, what? Like, when people first said that to me, I was like, what? They can't do
Yeah.
that. That's not happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was actually that. And then I had a couple days where I had to decide what I was doing. Like, was I pulling the pin on that? Or so I just, again, I'm like, I don't know what 6 months, 3 months look like. We're just going to move forward and decided, yeah, that we're going to do it. And so I actually, I'd had a opportunity with the company in the States in December, and they had said to me, they're like, well, you should really maybe make a better online platform for online training. So
Yeah.
there's a possibility for some collab. So ironically, December 2019, I actually built an online platform.
Wow. Wow. And at that time, like, were the tools were the tools any good to actually make it happen? Like, I think at that point, Zoom was probably the number one video conferencing platform at that time. I remember even when I got into podcasting, the tools were still up and coming. Talk to me a little bit about what the technology was like.
Yeah, I since I was connected to the company in the States, they connected with me at the video
Oh,
platform.
amazing. Okay.
So I started paying for a membership with them in January, which was crazy. And I think about that just in this very moment. I'm like, what was I thinking? But anyways, come
You
March,
you were
when I
you were thinking I don't want to fail. That's what you were thinking.
right? So I just really had that opportunity seemed really big in the States. And it never turned into anything. But when they closed us down, I told people, I sent them a message. I said, come pick up bells. We'll sign them out.
Yeah.
We'll take them home. This was on a Wednesday. So they would have normally the Wednesday people would train again Friday. So by Friday, we had a regular class from home. Already.
Wow. How many people?
Well, we would probably have 30, 35.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's amazing.
Yeah. So it was crazy though. But so when you asked what COVID brought out of that was, for me, it was an online presence. And then I started posting on LinkedIn. I got to train with some ex-Navy SEALs. One
Cool.
came on the platform and trains, and I ended up doing a mobility retreat with them in Mexico. So it opened the doors, and ultimately it opened the doors enough that when I was looking at my business in 2023 and I had to decide which was growing, which was struggling, which way do I go?
Yeah.
And it turned out it was the online.
And that takes us into what I've been looking forward to chatting with you about, because we have not had a lot of companies come on here who, one, made a transition to online or were online at all in the first place, but have had a lot of success in building an online business. I think there's a lot of people in 2026 and beyond who are thinking about, like, there's this great world of online things. How do I get into it? I almost make the argument now that almost everything should be online. If I look at the community I'm building, I don't even really want it to be in person, honestly. Like, I think at that point, it just makes it hard for people to show up. It makes it hard for them to commit to it. I know as busy professionals, finding time is our biggest challenge most of the time.
Yes.
We have to find ways to make things easy. And so, you were ahead of the curve in this, in my opinion.
Thank you. I felt like I wasn't, but it appears to me.
No, you really were. 2023, I think we were starting to see more of a transition to people recognizing that, like, we need some type of platform, right? Whether that was YouTube or podcasts or things like that. Like this very show, February of 2023 was our launch time. But at the time, I knew nothing about like online things, and I know, like, for instance, the tools available to us at that time were kind of rudimentary and crude
Yeah.
still. Things like Riverside, like we're talking on right now, I've had
Yeah.
it since then. It's 1,000% better today than it was at that
Right?
time.
Yes. Yeah.
So I just kind of, I feel like we're at a point in 2026 where online business is not only are available to you to build and thrive on, but the tools have now caught up to make it easy for you to do so. But like someone like you in 2023, you were paving the way.
Yeah, it's been incredible, like, to see the transition through it. So I went from I was in studio 6 days a week. And not only did I close my studio down in end of October, I took a group of women on a retreat
Yeah.
for 7 days. And when I flew back, I came back and I packed up my apartment and I got on a plane and I
Wow.
left. I
Wow.
went to Arizona and house sat for somebody for 2 months and rebranded, took a breather.
Yeah.
Because I'd been in the studio, but I thought it was such a change for me. And I'd wondered the same. It was a question that, it lingered in my head about, I know how to build something in a studio person to person.
Yeah.
And one of my fears was, can I really do it?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I had my online people, but they were pretty good about, we used to stream classes, like live classes. So they would send a message on my phone. They're like, oh yeah, I can see that so-and-so's in the front corner training today.
Yeah.
So it was also still a different dynamic, but mine was, it was very interesting wondering about I uprooted myself at 48, moved, and I also put everything online. But you're
Wow.
right, like the technology behind that, even in the last year.
Yes. Yes. Insane. The last couple of years have been absolutely insane. And obviously we have AI to thank for that, but the changes are leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to New York in 2025 at a fitness conference and just seeing what was going on there. There was an app company from India that I connected and had a meeting with when I was there. And actually, 10 months later, I transitioned to working with them
Yeah.
off the old platform. And just the availability of what that looks like has changed so much.
Yeah. 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 So one of the questions that I have as somebody who has transitioned from a fully in-person business into something that's a little bit more digital and online, have there been some major advantages that you have noticed from this transition from what you did before to what you did now? And have there been any disadvantages, or has it primarily been upside?
Always a big believer that if you look hard,
If you look for the upside, you'll always find it. Yeah.
we find it too. I think, one thing for me as a business owner, and I was also working in the business teaching, what it allowed me to do was step out of that. And I found that really good because you're having transaction on a physical space with somebody, and then you're having to do the billing and all of that.
Yeah.
Sometimes gets a little particular in there, and on the online space, it removed that piece completely, right? Because everything's through. You're not picking up a phone, usually having a conversation about it. But
Yeah.
that was something that I did notice, like from a business standpoint, where it put me. I was able to work on my business more
Yeah.
than physically in it.
Well, yeah, you have so much more time,
Yeah,
right?
I don't know if it goes, but
Like I have people ask me about events all the time now, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, like, why don't you go to all of these events in Edmonton, right? Like there's a million events I could go to at any given time.
Yeah.
And I just say, honestly, it's just the time. Like, I don't have 5 hours. And people are like, well, it's only an hour. It's like, no, it's not. Because by the time you go there, you eat, you spend time with people, you drive home, you decompress. It's like 5 hours, right? Like there is no 1 hour, 30-minute lunch. That's just not how it works.
No.
And so you have to factor all of that in. And I just think like, as somebody who also has, an online presence, a podcast, a business development coaching company, a business development consulting company, every hour is insanely valuable to me. And not to mention, I also want to spend time with my family. Like, I really want to just hang out with my kids and hang out with my wife and just enjoy life. And so I think it's really important to respect people's time. And I think what's ultimately happening and what we're seeing a lot more of is people recognizing how valuable their time is.
Yes. Yeah. I actually just had that conversation with a client this morning. We were talking about because there was an event coming up tomorrow, and she's like, "Are you going?" And I was like, "No."
Yeah. Oh, I know. I get asked all the time and I just say, like, I'm sorry. I'm sure it'll be great. I hope you have an amazing time. It's like unless there's like a client going there or there's like a financial reason for me to absolutely be there, it's probably not in the cards. And it's not that these events aren't great. I do like events, and I'm not actually saying don't go to any events, but I think you have to start asking yourself, if there is not like an immediate ROI for you to do so, is it worth 5 to 6 hours of your time? Or could that time be better spent somewhere else? And
Yeah.
maybe it's a question that I think maybe as an employee, I never asked myself, but as an entrepreneur, I ask myself every day.
Right? Well, time is the biggest commodity, right?
Yeah,
Because you can't get back time.
that's
So,
right.
when I used to train, when I had the studio, and then I was thinking about taking it online. I'm really clued into, like, I don't even train at the studio.
Yeah.
Like, my workout, I come home, my bells are it's really funny, even I've got bells in my studio space where I shoot, but I actually don't very, very rarely do I go in there and work out. Like, my
Yeah.
bells are in my bedroom in front of a mirror, and that's where I work out because, the other thing is, like, it's efficient. When you see them, when you walk by them, you know they're there, and it's
Yeah.
always saying, "Okay, you can pick me up for just a little bit," you know? Well,
That's right. That's
I
right. You got to
I
keep an eye.
strategically planned it, right?
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. And I want you to think about this for a second because I know there's people who say, Jodi, I don't have time. But they will make time to spend 5 hours going to an event that they have no idea if they'll get anything from. Could you not have taken a half an hour to look after yourself? And I'm not shaming anybody. I'm right there with you. I'm also getting back into it myself, but I'm recognizing that it actually isn't that hard to find 30 minutes.
No, it's not. It's what you prioritize. But I always say too, prioritize and figure out where it fits.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I always say, set a week, go a week and stick with that one schedule at the end of and don't even think about it, just show up. And then after the first week, go, did it fit?
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
it didn't, where can I move it around my day? Do I do less? Or am I able to add in more? Or maybe it's just like I need to do early in the morning, or actually once I get kids to bed, or do whatever, I do it at 7 o'clock, 5 o'clock. It's just navigating it around. And I also know that I love the fact that I don't have to warm up a car to drive anywhere.
That's right. That's right.
You know?
I'm with you. I'm with you. I think if I had to actually pack up and go to a gym, I couldn't do it. And it's too many steps to get
Yeah.
there,
But
right?
remove
You
steps,
have to remove the steps.
right?
You have
You
to remove the
do.
step. I'm sorry. I'm right there with you. I have to remove the steps. And I'm finding that for me, I'm really enjoying working out in the morning. It's 30 minutes. Like the way I get up, I have a black coffee, I head downstairs and I work out. And for me, it's feeling really good because I leave that and I'm actually energized for my day way more than I was before.
Yeah. And then you've also eliminated, oh, this happened, this turned up. Oh, I got to run
Yeah,
here.
there's no more things that can get in the way because it's the
Oh,
first thing.
nothing's in the way in the morning, right?
Yeah, yeah. That I would, I mean, I'm not a health expert, but I think I would recommend that you try to do it in the morning.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I
I'm with a health expert though, so
right? I'm sorry to say it. I do have a single mama who trains with me, and she trains 6:30 in the morning because it's before, because if she doesn't, she's like, my day takes over for
yeah.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, I love
That's
that. I
good.
love that. Take me into what you're finding with regards to you started with kettlebells, but KB Stronger is so much more than that. You're really getting into nervous system work now. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I just came back from San Francisco and I went to a Helix Mastermind convention. I had a podcast I did down there, and then I went to the convention for 3 days. And one of the speakers, and they always talk about the marketing and how you market. And I was like, it was good because it gave me some time to really dive deep into what the brand, how it evolved and how it started for me. And honestly, my flight was 3 hours back from San Fran to Calgary, and it felt like 30 minutes because I wrote for 3 hours.
Wow.
Like, I
Wow.
just sat there and I brain dumped, and I'm gonna tell you that I was always also off my phone for 3 days,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, my brain is alive again."
Is that what it takes?
3 days. I highly recommend it. It's a beautiful feeling. It's like, well, I'm not kidding. It's like, I think a 3-day reset is honestly one of the best things to do. But I sat with the fact about I didn't pick up kettlebell to get abs. I had abs then. I didn't pick it up to get stronger. I was super strong. I picked it up because I was tapped out in my nervous system and the rhythm of the bell. And it wasn't even because I didn't lift heavy when I
Yeah.
first started. It was the rhythm that allowed me, because a lot of people say when you go through hard things, this was the thing that I always got people would say to me. They'd be like, Jodi, just sit. And I always laugh because I feel this aura of like, just sit, be calm.
No.
Have you ever tried to tell somebody who is like vibrating inside and has all this balled up energy to sit still?
Yeah.
Terrifying. It still makes me like bring out my hands. And that's where when I was writing on the way back, I was like, wow, it wasn't ultimately, it's a strength training program, right? And
Yes.
it's program, but the inner workings of it is that you can regulate so that you can be present again. And I always loved kettlebell for the fact of you actually have to think. I hate to say that to people, like you really do. When you train with a bell, your brain has to connect to your body for
Okay.
movement.
Yeah.
And the beauty of that is, guess what? You actually you're taking time out to be present in your moment so that, you do your workout, say it's a 30-minute and you're done and you're like, wow, I have so many people that'll say we're done. It's over.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's when you know you're just into it. Yeah, coming back from San Fran, I was like, it's really shifted. Like when I went to New York in 2025, I revamped my website. I came back from San Francisco and I reached like all the wording.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, this is great.
I know that struggle.
Like but it's good because
Yeah.
it should be evolving. Could you imagine if it still looked the same
Oh my
from
gosh, yeah.
2020, you're right? Like it's supposed to,
Yeah,
right?
and actually you're like I feel like the speed of everything has shifted so much. Like people used to revamp their websites like every like 5 or 7 years, right? It's like at this point, like things can be completely different in 6 months, let alone years. Yeah, I'm always encouraging people to like recognize that like there is a shift happening, a speed shift, I feel like in the way in just not just business but life. And things are happening on a much more compressed scale than they used to.
Yes. Yeah. So for me, when I think I can sense that and sense that like high functioning people, like entrepreneurs who there's a need for how do I get my fitness taken care of,
Yeah,
get healthier? How do I minimize the time? Because as a busy, successful person, your time is your most valuable thing. And then
absolutely. Yeah.
if I can pull in that I've actually regulated my nervous system and calmed myself, I'm like, that's a lot of things in one session, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's spend a little bit of time there because primarily that's who you're working with are busy professionals. How did you kind of single us out as the people who need you? Obviously, you've nailed it, but how did you find us?
Well, you know what's interesting though, that is a key. There are, I could say there's also the moms,
Yeah.
right? There's the kids going to university that are it comes down to like I think your capacity of what everybody's carrying. I think with entrepreneurs, they I think they value the time that if I can get it done in my space because I need to go to do something to work or I really want to spend time with my family
Yeah.
or do the adventure that I want to do. So it's kind of like, let's take care of it because we can check it off because we
Yeah.
like to
We
check
like
it
to
off.
check. We love checking things
We
off.
like to check it off and then just really go live life to your fullest.
Yeah. I find that as an entrepreneur, I've dumped so much into building my business, building my podcast, building my life, or maybe the appearance of my life, another way of putting it, that I found myself getting really disconnected from things that used to make me happy. Do you run into that with a lot of your clients?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, because I guess we're so high functioning on what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish. And there's that health piece in there too.
Yeah.
When I was just working on capacity mapping, and one of the questions was, "W- have you done your annual checkups?
Yeah.
Because how many times do you go as an entrepreneur and you're like, I got a deadline. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And then I'll get to that. And then I'll get it checked out then.
Yeah.
You know? So
Yeah.
it's like,
It's like it's easier not to know.
right?
Willful ignorance is the right
Right.
word.
We're blissfully ignorant.
Yeah.
We're just going to keep going till the wheels fall off the bus.
Oh my goodness. It is so funny because it's like there's so many things where that would just be so unacceptable in our businesses, but yet in our lives, we're totally cool with just being like, yeah, I'll put that off.
It's true. I even found I had some doctor's appointments that I had to get done. And I waited till I got back from San Francisco. I'm like, I'm just gonna get this piece out of the way, and then so
Yeah.
that's why I actually put it in the capacity map, because I was like, yeah, it's important. And just to, again, it's always like you have to be aware, acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Don't beat yourself up if you are a high functioning entrepreneur and you go, oh, I've really let it slip.
Yeah.
It's okay. Like, I mean, it is just the journey of life. And
Yeah.
it's the moment where you go, okay, I know I'm not there and I need to be healthier. I want to be healthier.
Yeah.
And just go, okay, just take the step.
I'm right there, hand way up, right? Like
Yeah.
I've been there for years at this point.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? I think it ended up being Shelby. I have such an amazing partner. She's like, look, we're just going to set up this space in the basement. I'm going to work out. You can join me if you like. And it's like, I can't have her do it and me sit on the sidelines. So I owe her for giving me a massive, I am the kind of guy who needs a kick in the ass. And I got it. I got it. And she's been amazing and supporting me on this kind of health journey again, which like when we met, I was super fit, super healthy. Like it's one of those things where just life caught up to me. And then I got out of the routine, and honestly, trying to claw myself back hasn't been easy, but it hasn't been as hard as I thought it would be either. Speak to me. We're talking to a lot of entrepreneurs right now, Jodi, many of them like me, who maybe they had a health routine, maybe they were really fit once, and life caught up and their pressure of their jobs, pressure of life, and they just put health off to the side. But they have that nagging feeling like I did, where it was like, you could go and work out. Like you can do this, but it feels just a bit too far, right?
Mhm.
Talk to them right now because they want to be fit. They want to be healthy. I think they don't know how to get back there.
Yeah. No, and that's real
What would
thing.
you say to them?
I always celebrate that first start, that first hard day. I'm
Yeah.
like, remember it. Remember that you felt like you were going to just about die. Because it does a few things. It registers that feeling, that moment in your head. So you go, yeah, I ain't going back there.
Yeah.
And then you build on it. I'm like, you don't know your start spot unless you have a start spot.
Yeah.
Like my one program is when I first meet with my crew, I'm like, I videoed 30 minutes for you to work out with me. It's work along. But I said, I need you to know that if 30 minutes is too much for you, don't do 30 minutes. Say you get to 15 and you're like, I'm where I'm at. And it's just accepting that that's your start spot. Because if you do it and you just, like, I just always say to people, I'm like, you have to be your cheerleader too, not to quit. So if you break it off in small bits so it doesn't seem so overwhelming. So your programming shouldn't be like, let's go in full blown. I always lay it out. I'm like, we're not, everyone's like, okay, well, what are we going to eat? What do you want me to eat for that? And I'm like, we're just going to start moving.
Yeah.
Because the minute you start moving and that starts to become part of your plan, your routine, then you go to eat something and you ate something bad and then you go move your body and the two of them kind of, you're like, oh, that didn't work very good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So then you just start paying attention. So I would say when like for it, I know it's an easy thing for me to sit here and say start, but it's actually a step. You
Yeah.
have to take a step. I always say push the button, send me a message. It's as simple as that, as having somebody that's there to say, I'm here for you to connect and walk the road with you.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like for my entrepreneurs out there was day one of your business and you
Oh,
didn't have it figured out. You had no idea what you were doing, but you
no.
took one step in a
Yeah.
direction and now you have a corporation or now you have a thriving business.
Yeah,
I feel like your health journey can be the same.
absolutely. And I always correlate everything of my training with life, with business. It's just that 1%. Try to
1%.
do 1% better every day. That's
Absolutely.
not for me. I just watched a podcast today. Putting this up.
Well, are you sure? I could have sworn that was yours, Jodi.
Someone's gonna write to me later. It's one more.
Take us into KB Stronger because it sounds incredible. It's an online program. It's something that you can do at your own pace from the sounds of it. What is KB Stronger, and take us into the Strong program?
All right. So there are a couple components in there that someone who hasn't trained for a while or is new to kettlebells, I have a 12-week Start Strong program. And I love it because it's 3 days a week. It's biweekly. We jump on a call to the first one's usually just for time management. We talk about what we talked about here today. Where does it fit?
Yeah.
And then we get into form because sometimes people can think kettlebells are daunting. I feel like anything's daunting if you don't know how to do it properly and you don't have the proper information. So it takes you through 4 weeks of body weight. So we don't even get into bells because you need to remember how to move your body. So if you've been out of the game for a while, it's a good start spot. And then we just build into the bells from there. And there's mindsets. I have a calm strength workbook that goes along in with that because you need to connect everything for it to be successful.
Yeah.
So if you can understand why you're showing up, can understand, at day 19, day 17, they did it was Strava that did a study, and it was when most people fell off. So I usually send them a reminder on the 17th day saying, are you feeling like quitting? You're not alone.
Yes.
And sometimes that's important because we
Yeah.
want to feel, when you understand that you're really not alone,
Yes.
it's hard for everybody. But if you can do it in bits and build on it, the foundations of it, that's when you'll have success. I've been doing 100 push-ups every day since 2020.
Wow. That's incredible.
Crazy, right? But I don't do them all at once. And I usually post my last 25 every day on social media. You
Yeah.
see me do push-ups. And it's just the idea of my mom was here for 10 days. She did push-ups off the counter, because it's just the idea of with the programming. And I share this because it helps people to understand a little bit about what KB Stronger is. It's about the movement, the mindset, and not feeling like you have to do it all. But again, it's that start piece.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. And if people want to find you or check out your program, what's the best way for them to do so, Jodi?
Well, I'm on most social medias of KB Stronger, and DM me or email me. It's jodi@kbstronger.com. I'm pretty easy to talk to, I think.
Yes, I will verify that you are easy to talk to.
Because it's hard. When I say that is because I can always tell people will send me a message or they'll like something on a story and they'll make a comment.
Yeah.
And it's just, I understand it's not. And same thing when you see somebody who trains like I've been training and I'm very consistent. And I always say to people, you never have to do some of the crazy things you see me do.
Yeah.
For one reason, sometimes I'll be a little extreme because A, I have to catch your attention. And B, I also want to say that at 50, you can get super strong with a kettlebell. Like I have a kettlebell.
That's good news for a lot of us.
Right? You can do it. And again, you don't need a bunch of equipment.
Yes.
So again, removing some of the excuses. You don't need a lot of room and you don't need a lot of equipment.
Yes. I think there's a lot of people who see, fitness experts like you, and they actually get you're very intimidating. You don't intend to be, but I think there's like a fear ultimately of like, well, if I talk to them, then I have to do this thing. And I don't know if I can do this thing.
Yeah, that's why I see it, because I know when people sometimes go on my social media and I'll be doing pull-ups or I'll do a heavy lift, and you never, like, one of my private clients is a prime example. I met her at a Christmas party a year and a bit ago, and she came up and talked to me, and it took her 7 months before she reached out and said, I've been thinking about you, but I've been pretty intimidated.
Yeah.
And so that's why I share that, because it's, at the end of the day, I'm also just a person.
Yeah.
And I feel that too. I went to San Francisco when I went to the Helix thing, and I sat with 2 astronauts.
Oh, wow.
And,
that's pretty cool.
The first, part of the day, I was sitting there, and you're kind of like, wow, you asked that question. Should I be sitting at this table?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you sit with it for a little while. And because I've put myself in some really crazy situations, I'm like, you know what? We're all just, and that's really ultimately when I was 41 and decided to launch a company, and people were like, will it ever fly? And I sat with it. And because I'd shifted my mindset so much, because I was so negative for so long, I shifted it and I thought, why not?
Why not me? 100%.
Right? Like, and the same thing, put that, and I'm going to say this to your entrepreneurs, like, put your business mindset, shift it to your fitness.
Why not you?
Why can't you be
Why can't you?
Why can't you feel better?
Yeah.
You can. You just have to start, just like you start and you plan your day with your job or your business.
Absolutely. Why can't you? You can do this. I think that's a perfect place to end today's show, Jodi. This has been absolutely incredible. Please, one more time, we've been speaking with Jodi Barrett. You can follow her on all platforms, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. Once again, Jodi, for people who want to learn more about you, they want to check out KB Stronger, what is the website?
It is kbstronger.com.
It will be all over the show notes, all over the posts. Jodi, it was an honor and a privilege. Thank you for spending some time with me today.
Thank you so much, Kelly, for having me. You're a blast.
Looking forward to our next conversation.
Yes, me too.
Until next time, you've been listening to the Business Development Podcast, and we will catch you on the flip side.
This has been the Business Development Podcast with Kelly Kennedy. Kelly has 15 years in sales and business development experience within the Alberta oil and gas industry and founded his own business development firm in 2020. His passion and his specialization is in customer relationship generation and business development. The show is brought to you by Capital Business Development, your business development specialists. For more, we invite you to the website at www.capitalbd.ca. See you next time on the Business Development Podcast.
For industries like mining, forestry, construction, and energy, downtime isn't just frustrating, it's expensive. For more than 55 years, Thunder Bay Hydraulics has been trusted to repair and manufacture complex hydraulic cylinders that keep critical equipment running. With in-house engineering, precision manufacturing, and decades of real-world experience, they specialize in the kind of complex hydraulic work many shops simply can't handle. And while they're proudly based in Thunder Bay, Ontario, Thunder Bay Hydraulics works with companies across Canada to deliver reliable hydraulic solutions wherever they are needed. Their mission is simple: a relentless pursuit of zero downtime for the industries they serve. Learn more at www.thunderbayhydraulics.com.